there, it's Amy Kunkel, Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and blogger at crazybeautiful.com. I'm going to show you one card in 2 different ways today. We're doing By the Seashore, and the main technique I'll be doing today is called Emboss Resist. It's not really a new technique, but I'm just going to show you how to do the technique and then how to step it up. So with my Versamark, I'm going to stamp all of these images. Now it does stay wet pretty long, so I don't have to worry too much about it drying. And then I'm going to take my speckles and I'm just going to kind of go in the corners. Now this is not going to show up very well on my camera, but I'll show you it as soon as I'm done. Okay, wow, that is really hard to see, but I've got my Versamark on there. Then I'm going to grab my white embossing powder and I'm going to heat emboss all of these stamped images. Okay, there's not really much place to hold on to. You can see that a little bit better now. I'm going to just clip this down right there. I like to use a clipboard covered in aluminum foil. If you let your gun warm up before applying it to your paper, I think that it wrinkles a little bit less. So just let your gun warm up on the side. Now this is a lot of embossing, so make sure while you're heating that you keep your heat tool moving, because I did just about set one of my samples on fire. So it does heat up quite a bit, you know, over time, so keep that in mind. Okay, so what you're going to do is, now that we have our white heat embossing done on our card, you're going to get out a couple different colors of ink. I'm using Crumb Cake and then a couple different blues. So Pool Party, Bermuda Bay, and Island Indigo. And these 3 will kind of go from light to dark on my card. Now you can use sponges or daubers. You could even use your brayer. So I'm just going to add this first color on, starting down here at the bottom and just getting a little bit lighter as I go up to this kind of imaginary line that I'm creating on this card. Now my blues, I'm actually using the same sponge for all 3, and since I just did kind of a sample card, I'm going to use this to get off all the color that I have on my sponge, kind of in the mid-tone here, and then I'm going to go back and pick up a little bit of Pool Party and blend that line between the blue and the brown. Then my next color is going to be Bermuda Bay. Now I'm going to kind of follow that same imaginary line that's sort of like a diagonal here and add my next layer of color. And you could kind of do whatever you want with the color. You don't have to go from a lighter tone to a darker tone. That's just sort of what I'm doing on this card. And my last and darkest color will be Island Indigo. And I'm going to just pull this right at the corner. That way I get the darkest concentration of color here, and I'm just going to kind of blend it right through like that. So I'm kind of intentionally leaving a little bit of white in here because I think it's a more natural reflection kind of thing when you're in the ocean. Okay, then the last kind of step on this is just to take a dry paper towel and wipe it off a little, because what you're going to see is it's going to brighten your whites and you're just wiping the ink off of where you embossed it. That kind of shines it up too. For the second version of this card, I'm going to use my brayer, and this is the brayer that you can get from Stampin' Up, and I really like it because it's a little bit squishier than one that I've purchased from other places. I'm going to just kind of take a piece of scrap paper. Okay, so since I can't find any Post-it notes in my house, for this one, I'll be using my brayer, and I've taped off the part that I want to remain white, and that will be for my sand. And I'm just going to ink up my brayer with Pool Party ink, nice and evenly. And this actually goes on really well. I'm going to kind of come from this direction. And then blend it in. I mean really well that the brayer inks up your card like really thoroughly and dark. Okay, so now I'm just going to kind of come from the top like that and blend the color. I'm coming from the top corner because that's where I want the darkest concentration of color. So again, just kind of keep going over it in order to blend the color. And then I'm going to take another piece like this, and I want this to kind of remain light, and I'm going to cover it so that it stays light, and then I'm going to continue to add my Pool Party up here at the top. Now I think that might be as dark as my Pool Party wants to get, so I'm going to step in with the Bermuda Bay. Again, inking up your brayer nice and evenly will kind of help the color also to go on nice and evenly. So I'm going to do like I did before and kind of come across like that to get the initial color on, and then I'm going to come from the top corner and just pull it down. So not adding too much more ink. Kind of running your brayer off on the side as needed, and then just blending. Okay, when I pull this up, you can kind of see how that's created that line. And I think I'm going to just move it up and do one more dark, maybe even, going in with my Island Indigo, and just bringing a little bit more of that really, really rich blue. Now I'm going to kind of, I don't even know how to describe this, but just really gently go over it. I'm going to slide this down a tiny bit so I can blend that edge a little. And then take it off, and as much more as you want to blend, you can bring in, I'm going to wipe that off a little bit. Wipe that off a little bit because it's sort of got just random dark spots of that Island Indigo. And if I forget to tell you, just to clean your brayer, you can rinse it under water. Just rinse it under like cold water at your sink and let it air dry. You can also use your Stampin' scrub and just spritz a little bit of the cleaner on and roll it around, but you still end up kind of wiping it off, I think. So, or rinsing it underwater, I mean. So I'm just gonna use a little bit of my Pool Party and blend that line a tiny bit more. And I'll pull off my mask here, or do that, and take my crumb cake and my dauber, and I'm just going to come back here and add my sandy beach. So I'm kind of looking at this card as if we're standing on the beach looking down at our bare feet, and there's a little crab that came walking up and a little starfish and sand dollar laying in the surf. Oh my gosh, can you tell I need a vacation? Just kidding, I love the spring in Ohio. So last step here, I'm just gonna clean off a little bit of my ink, shine up the white embossing. So I'm gonna finish my cards kind of like this. I've heat embossed some sweet little sayings and verses on the front of them and added a couple jewels, pearls actually, to the front of the card. So stop over my blog to see the finished cards in this collection. And thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day. Bye.